Hi, welcome again to Revero Health Success Story. I'm Brooke, a coach here, and today I'm speaking with Travis, who's going to share with us his experience. Hi, Travis. How are you?
Hi, Brooke. I'm doing great.
Thank you
Excited
again.
to be here.
Oh, nice to have you here. And thanks again
Yes,
for spending the time.
yes,
Yeah.
of course.
And okay, so to get started, what brought you to the carnivore diet? What was going on?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. First of all, I'm a personal trainer and a nutritionist, so I've been studying this genre of information for over a decade now. It's been a huge passion of mine throughout my whole life. But I am a competitive physique athlete and a fitness model. And this last spring, I was doing what we call a cut. So I was trying to get as lean as possible to look my best for a photo shoot. And as I was getting to the nitty gritty end of the cut, I was on, under 2,500 calories a day. It was getting really, really uncomfortable. I was on a more standard sort of bodybuilder diet, very high protein, moderate carb, and pretty low fat. And I was just having all sorts of problems. I had no libido. I had no energy. I could barely get my workouts done anymore. And one of the bodybuilding coaches that I follow talked about his pre-contest ketogenic approach. And that one of these effects was that the athletes weren't as hungry. And that was enough for me to decide to try it. And so I got into a ketogenic diet and ended up really liking it. I didn't have any kind of keto flu symptoms or anything. I seemed to acclimate quite well to it. And as I was exploring more and more into this keto space, I came across carnivore. I came across the works of, I'm sure you know, Dr. ShawnBaker and Dr. Paul Saladino. I read both of their books. And it just made all the sense in the world. I had been a few years before, I was into paleo and kind of eating in a way that is congruent with our evolution. And I thought that just made a lot of intuitive sense to me. And when I read those books and sort of studied the history and the archaeology and anthropology aspects, I was really interested. So I was sold. And so I transitioned from my ketogenic diet into a carnivore diet, very beef heavy, very fat oriented. I was still eating about a pound or a gram of protein per pound of body weight, and the rest being fat. And it was like ketogenic plus. It was everything the keto was, and even more. I got to the body composition that I wanted. It was far more sustainable as far as how I felt, as far as the side effects. I felt more like a human again. I actually had energy and I wasn't starving all the time. And it seemed to me as if I wasn't fighting my body to get to the level of leanness that I wanted. And then on top of this,
well, can I ask a couple questions about that ketogenic diet? Because it is a really broad term. Some people just are living on, salads and fat. Was it an animal-based ketogenic diet? Were you eating beef with that or not so much?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I would say it was animal-based. I mean, I've known about protein bioavailability and amino acid profiles and how animal sources are always more desirable in that aspect. So having known this, I certainly wanted to implement that. So I was eating, a lot of eggs, a lot of beef. I don't eat a ton of chicken and pork. I guess then I might have, but yeah, it was always pretty animal based. But I was still eating salads. I was still eating vegetable entrees. I mean, I was brought up, I earned my nutritionist certification that we need vegetables, that they're
Right.
necessary for our bodies to function properly. So that
Are
was my school of
you
thinking.
still eating nuts and seeds from your paleo days?
Oh yeah, then I might have been.
And on keto, you were still eating some of those nuts and seeds, probably.
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
so then you switched to carnivore, which you sort of dropped that stuff out and went
I
more
did.
permanent meat.
Yes, yes. And when I did that, I noticed my skin cleared up. I had a little bit of sort of eczema problems that went away. But the biggest thing that I noticed when I dropped everything else was my mental clarity, my mind function, and I don't know if I really had a lot of anxiety, but it seems like I meditate every day, and once I went carnivore, my meditations got a lot more powerful, a lot more rewarding, and it seemed like life was just kind of easier, a little bit more natural flowing. And so, I mean, for me, the proof was in the pudding. I'm there.
Very good. Since you were a bodybuilder, fitness in that fitness space, were you eating a lot of protein powders before?
When I was doing that previous sort of bodybuilding diet, I was, just to get in that much protein, it is, easier. Even if I'm not just drinking a shake, I would incorporate it. I had a whole cookbook of like high protein, low calorie dense recipes that a lot of them included some whey protein and different protein shakes, which then when I went keto and lowered my protein intake, and I'm eating so much meat that's not really necessary anymore.
So it sounds like you were feeling good. The transition
Mm-hmm.
was working out, sort of a natural transition, and you leaned out, I guess, when you needed to for competition. And were there any other effects?
Yeah, there was a number of things. I've always sort of had an issue with some of my bathroom habits. I would often take days without having a bowel movement, and then when I did, it would be really uncomfortable, really dense. And I don't know if that was from fiber or what, but since I went carnivore, I usually just have a manageable movement every day. So that was a lot more comfortable. My skin cleared up, and I don't know if this was an effect of the diet, but I know I had been exposed to COVID a few times, and I've never gotten it. In fact, I think since I've gone carnivore, I've only had a cold like once. So I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if my immune system is up, but I would certainly believe that it might. Also, my libido is much better, and I'm enjoying my sex life a lot more, just from feeling this healthy. And I don't know if this is sort of a peculiar thing that I noticed, but when I went keto and carnivore, before I didn't have body odor, and when I got on the diet, it's not like it's offensive or anything, but it's noticeable. And I don't know, it might be like I'm healthy now, so I'm actually smelling like a human or what.
Oh yeah,
But
maybe
but that
hormonal
was one of the, just a
androgen.
curious effect. Yeah.
So now there's more sort of a healthy body odor, so you shower, and before there was less.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, I would always sweat a lot. I've been a profuse sweater, but even people would comment like, "Hey, you're really sweaty, but you don't smell at all." But I guess I smell a little bit more manly now.
Oh, well, that's good. So many of my vegetarian friends actually have a lot of body odor. My vegetarian
Really?
friends have the most body odor. I think it's just
Yeah.
the chemicals of those plants or something.
Yeah. It could be.
Well, that sounds good. How
Yeah.
long will you tell our listeners how long it's been for you to be on carnivore?
6 months, about
6
six
months.
months now.
And you were on a
Yeah.
keto diet for like several months before that, or what?
Actually, I was only non-carnivore keto for maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
It wasn't long until I found carnivore.
Yeah, yeah. But you were on a
Yeah.
paleo diet, so you really did have that. You kind of had a beat out for good nutrition and
Yeah, yeah.
proper
As
nutrition.
far as
Yeah,
something congruent with our evolution, yeah.
yeah. And when you're on a paleo diet, you're eating like yams and squash and
Yeah,
animal food and
squash,
nuts and seeds.
fruit, nuts, the the paleo friendly grains like quinoa, which
Yeah.
I don't really know why they're more
I don't
congruent
know
than
why they
wheat or
pick out.
something,
I don't know why they
but that's what they
pick out.
said. So
Yeah, I guess because it's not
yeah,
actually a grain, it's a seed, or I mean, it's a
yeah,
grass. I
well,
think it's a grass. Um, yeah, who knows? Um, Great. So things have just been improving, and you had already had sound like you already had a pretty good diet, actually. Except,
yeah. I mean, I've always
yeah,
always been very
conscious of it.
stickler about my diet. Yes.
Except you're eating lots of vegetables, like all of us, thinking that the more the better, because they're
Mhm.
just virtuous and they could do no harm.
Yes, yes. They're just asking to be eaten so that we
Right.
can benefit. They have no intentions of growing or being healthy
Right,
themselves. They just
right.
want to help.
Eat my nuts and seeds. Eat my
Yes,
reproductive organs.
yes.
Yeah. Um, wow, so that's good. And you feel stronger. Sound like you feel
I,
stronger.
I do actually. My strength in the gym has been going up. I've recently hit a new personal best bench press of over 350 pounds. One thing I'll say is without the carbohydrate sources, without the glycogen, I noticed that my muscles don't get quite as engorged when I'm lifting, but there's no real difference in strength.
Do
But
you like,
we call that the pump.
yeah, do you salt up beforehand to help with that? Like add salted water before you go to the
Yep,
gym?
yeah, I take a pre-workout and uh, an electrolyte concoction along with some tonic water, some diet tonic water.
Oh, nice. Um, okay, sounds good. So are you on any medication? Or,
Yes, yes. I'm still on lisinopril for blood pressure. I've had chronic blood pressure my whole life. And I will mention that even with the lisinopril before, it was still in the high to high normal range. And now it is consistently right around 120 over 80. So that has improved. And I certainly think it is because of the diet. And then on top of that, I take Seroquel as a sleep aid. That's one thing that's sort of bothered me my whole life. I feel like I have slept better. I do sleep with a bit more regularity or certainty that I will sleep. Um, Maybe just from the mental clarity and being able to kind of clear my mind before I go to bed, but I still take that.
how does Seroquel work? Is it a sedative? What does it do?
It's kind of a complex medication. It's not its label use is not for sleep. It's actually an antipsychotic. Um, and I got on it a number of years ago when I was dealing with some depression issues and things as a mood stabilizer. And we realized that it was really good for helping me sleep.
Isn't
And
a
so since then,
serotonin reuptake medication?
no,
No.
it's not an SSRI.
And but it's an anti-anxiety medication.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's sort of
Antipsychotic, which I don't really know.
psychotic. Okay, so okay. Does it does that correspond with the blood pressure? I mean, does it have anything to do with that?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Mhm.
I
So the
haven't
blood,
heard anything. I mean, I've taken it for
yeah,
years and I haven't heard any mention of it. But
yeah. So your sleep is is the same, and you kind of got your eye on that because you're still using that
more or
medication.
less, yeah.
Yeah. And your blood pressure has gone down a little bit, you said.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, good. And I know you were leaning out, but with your fitness work, that's sort of in and out kind of pattern when you are competing.
Yeah, yeah,
So was that
yeah.
easier for you then to lean out with a carnivore diet?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. I mean, not even close. I would recommend for anybody, and I mean, all my clients right now are on keto and carnivore diets. And if they're on keto, they're at very least on an animal-based keto. And I just, when I compete, I've never been the biggest guy, or, I've never had the biggest arms or the biggest legs. But one thing I do pride myself on is being able to get really, really lean.
So
And
you're the more shredded guy.
yeah. and I haven't found any better approach than carnivore. I mean, it's almost hard not to be shredded on carnivore. Recently when I haven't been cutting and actually trying to gain some muscle, I'm eating over 4,000 calories a day sometimes, and I'm still single digit body fat. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
When you were on keto, what was the carbohydrate macro that you usually shoot for?
Whenever I was doing keto, I was trying to keep it as low as possible. I mean, under 20 grams.
Under 20.
If possible, yeah. And I've measured my ketone level with blood meters, and it seems like, at least when I'm just getting into it, it's very precarious for me. So I've got to keep it real low in order to stay in nutritional ketosis. Yeah.
But when you're doing gaining, before, when you're doing gaining building, where you push those carbs up a little bit, or how were you doing that? Or you just all staying under 50 the whole time?
Well, actually, now that I am in a gain phase, I've been experimenting with adding in some carbohydrates again from some lower toxic sources like fruit, and that kind of thing. Because I mean, if I was just doing it to stay lean and for health and everything, I'd say, forget the carbohydrates, but I'm trying to pack as much muscle on this body as possible. And for someone who's already quite advanced in that respect, you just can't do it optimally without carbohydrates.
Yeah. So really the name of the game is picking out carbohydrates that are easy to digest and not going to cost you.
Yeah, easy to digest, not loaded with fiber, not loaded with the polyphenols and tannins and lectins and all of that stuff.
So you picked fruit, and did you say honey? Do you pick honey? Do you use
fruit, honey? Yeah. So I like, as far as I vary the level of glycemic load. So for the higher glycemic stuff, I'll do honey, dates, some pineapple, and then on the lower end, things like grapefruit, and just kind of vary it like that. But yeah, I really like honey. And then sometimes for a post-workout, I'll just take straight dextrose with maybe some what they call waxy maize, which is sort of an interesting compound. It's a carbohydrate that doesn't spike insulin, or doesn't spike it very much. But,
does it have fat in it?
No.
Okay, so you're playing around with that, and
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like you understand the usefulness of all the macros. That's great. And it's sort of like, it just gives you another lever, doesn't it?
Just another vector to leverage as far as my particular goals and everything. And I'm going to incorporate some carb cycling, so I'll have days of higher carb, and then and on days that I'm not going to push myself so hard in the gym, if I'm just going to rest, I'll reduce them and up the fats a little bit more. So I'm just going to play around and experiment and see how I feel.
Do you use milk?
I do. I seem to tolerate dairy pretty well. I'm of Scandinavian descent, and we seem to handle dairy okay. So I like cheese. I like milk, not a ton of it, but I'll use that as a source of nutrition.
Yeah, has protein, fat, and carbohydrate right in it.
Hmm.
Cool. Um, sounds good. Sounds like you're on it. And it sounds like you probably can help your clients all the more with this dive into carnivore.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, everyone I loves it so far is having great results, both with health and body composition. And I really couldn't believe in this way of eating anymore.
So to just be clear for people, so what's your regular kind of a regular day of food?
Well, right now, today I woke up, had, let's see, this morning I had eggs, uh, some eggs, I think a couple strips of bacon and a fresh mango. And then just now I had a ribeye steak and a sweet potato. So some of my lower glycemic carbs. And then tonight I've got some chicken here that I'm making.
Sounds good. Sounds great, actually.
Yeah. And one little note on that, I have, when I got into this, really looked into the fats, different lipid profiles, and learning a lot about the polyunsaturated fats, the stuff that we need to be avoiding. And so when I eat chicken, yes, absolutely. When I eat chicken or pork now, I make sure that I get it from a supplier that does not feed their livestock corn and soy. So
Good, good
natural
idea.
diet, chicken,
Yeah,
low PUFA, everything.
very good. Good plan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Just gotta stay away from those PUFAs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
great.
plague.
And yeah, you can include those animal foods as long as you're sourcing those.
Yeah, but again, natural diets. Like who would have thought, the healthiest for us is when everything's eating naturally. So
Exactly. And you're in the Midwest, so there's a lot of good beef there.
absolutely, this is beef country.
Totally beef country. Awesome. Beef
Uh-huh.
is just such a, a superfood. It's such a healing
Oh,
food.
that's the base of my pyramid right there
Yeah,
is beef.
yeah, it's awesome. Well, Travis, it sounds really good. You look really great.
Oh,
Things
thank
sound
you.
like,
Getting there.
yeah, it's awesome. Are you competing, you said?
My next competition isn't gonna be for a while. It's going to be in October of 2022. So I've got about a year prep, but this will be the Nebraska NPC National Qualifier. So it'll be my biggest show yet.
Very cool. So
Yeah,
to keep us abreast of that, I'll have to watch
absolutely.
out for you. That sounds good. Everything sounds good. Yeah, thanks.
Yes,
Yeah, good to
of
hear
course.
it. Do you have a piece of advice for someone who's just starting?
I would say at least just learn the concepts. Don't do it because someone told you to, but I would say do your homework for yourself. And once you know uh, at least your truth, when you're at the grocery store and you're trying to decide whether or not to get a grass-fed piece of steak or that pizza that looks really good, it's going to make it a lot harder to grab that pizza when you know all the garbage that's in there and you know why it's going to be bad for you, or it's not going to be aligned with your goal. And just think, what serves me? Is this pizza going to serve? Like, yeah, it'll be good, but is it going to serve me in the long run? And I think if you just educate yourself as much as possible and really love yourself to that degree, that you're going to do what serves you and not what feels good in the moment. And I think you're on your way.
That's such good advice. Yeah. When we know better, we do better. Yeah.
Indeed. Yes.
So good. Thanks, Travis.
Yes,
Are you
my
on
pleasure.
Instagram?
Absolutely.
Are you on Instagram? Can people reach you?
Yes, just Travis Tussing, just like it says, Instagram, Facebook, and my email for my services is tussingtraining@gmail.com. And I would love to work with anybody interested in this way of life.
Thanks, Travis. I'm glad you're in the
Yes.
carnivore with me.
Oh, wouldn't be anywhere else.
Carry on. Bye now.
All right.
Join Revero.health for a 30-day free trial to get access to live Q&A with VIP guests, social community meetings, member discounts, low-carb healthcare providers list, forum, workouts, monthly challenges, early access to podcasts, recipes, carnivore diet guide, fasting guide, shred guide, and much more.